October 3rd, 1849. A delirious Edgar Allan Poe is found in a Baltimore gutter, which qualifies him for course credit in English 210. Welcome to The Revisionists. I'm Brian Flynn.
I am Zach Powers.
And joining us tonight, we have our special guest all the way from New York City, where they make the salsa, Michael Karlik.
Gentlemen, it's a pleasure to be here.
You're also from Denver.
I'm from everywhere. I'm very global.
You're a stand-up, originally from Denver?
Yep. I started stand-up here, and I live in New York part-time, and I prefer Denver a lot more. Let's put it this way. I haven't smelled urine but twice since I've been in Denver, and in New York, that's an everyday occurrence. Yeah.
Once was in a bathroom.
Which made sense.
Entirely appropriate.
The second was a scented candle.
My preferred place.
Would not buy again.
My preferred place to smell urine is a bathroom.
Yes. Of the urine places, that is the best of the urine places.
Yeah, second only to a litter box.
Not a sentence at all.
Urine Places, the musical.
That's the asylum version of Urine Town. They're branching out into musicals. Which
is just confusing uninformed tourists
and
on the off Broadway scene.
Guys, when the toilet makes love to the toilet brush, that is so touching, I thought.
Yeah.
That was one of the most grotesque images I've ever had.
Yeah, Daniel Radcliffe did not need to be naked there, but he
Every
was.
time
He
you
wasn't even in the
clean,
play.
I
He was
know.
just in the mezzanine.
every time you clean a toilet, it's kind of like a toilet brush making love to a toilet.
Is it? Is it?
A little bit.
How?
The motion's right.
How I make love, I can verify that. It is very similar. I squirt sticky blue liquid everywhere when I do it.
Oh, no. Oh, I brought this on myself.
But I assume that the intro music this week had creepy chains and scary ghost noises.
I am considering putting just various creepy sound effects underneath the whole episode. Like bats.
Yeah, constantly.
Constant,
Distant
like
screams.
constant bats, yes.
The latest Michael Bolton track, obviously.
The latest Michael Bolton, which I think would still be from 1997. Just to briefly recap what we do here on the podcast is each week we talk about a different topic from history. One person presents the true story. That'll be Zach this time around. Mm-hmm. And one person presents the alternate history, which will be me. And then we turn it over to the judge, or in certain instances, our loyal viewer, listener. And the winning story becomes our accepted history. Just to give you an update from our last episode, Hannibal, featuring Mike Hammock. The votes have been tabulated. And the winner is Zach.
One
with
victory.
The alternate history.
This is better than VE Day for me. Because I wasn't alive then.
You, yes. For you, it is better than VE Day.
But that...
I mean, by that standard, most days are better than VE Day for you.
Establishes that Hannibal was only against Rome because they cheated at a dance competition.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed.
Ghouls were created by accident by Hannibal and lasted at least in Europe until Julius Caesar, if not later. Mm-hmm. There is a satanic figure called the Dark Wanderer who created the show 2.5 Men and went by many names over the years. So just a few things. Now true in this reality.
For the whole month of October, we're going to be doing special Halloween-themed episodes with spooky sound effects, Crypt Keeper puns, candy.
Candy, yes.
If you eat candy while you listen to this.
Yeah, yes. We're going to constantly be eating candy during the podcast.
I just developed diabetes for all the listeners out there.
I've edited out about an hour of chewing noises so far.
I have not eaten any yet because all I got were Whoppers, and fuck that.
I will take your Whoppers if you take my Dots.
Yeah.
Dots?
Or Milk Duds.
I'll take Milk Duds.
Okay, Milk Duds for Whoppers. That's
all right, we've come to an agreement.
All right. So our first spooky topic is Rasputin.
Ooh, Rasputin.
Oh, that was a little sexier than I intended it to be. That may also not be the word I'm looking for. Zach, you have the actual history of Rasputin, so why don't you take it away?
Rasputin was born, Grigory Rasputin, in 1869 to what were described as well-to-do peasants. These peasants, when there was a hole in their hovel, could cover it with wood instead of just draping a sheet in front of it.
Oh, it is fancy.
Yeah, so they were the envy of all the other peasants. They were the 1%. If I may. Yeah, that's right. Pretty good pun, I have to say.
Of course you would say that. You just said the pun.
It's Halloween. It's the season of puns.
It is true. I have several myself. So
he was one of 9 children, although 7 of them died.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
So he had to establish his hard-to-kill bona fides pretty early.
He didn't have to wait long for the top bunk, though. That's nice.
No,
that is nice. And for Russian peasants, I think that's considered a pretty
Pretty
good
good.
number.
Hey, only 7 years died.
It's like, fuck, I was only planning on having
We're
one
working on
child.
13 and 12 are gone.
But again, these were the 1%.
Yeah, they were the 1%. They could afford the best.
Oh, that's fun to say. I'm
It
gonna
is,
use
isn't
that.
it? Yeah. I'm gonna find a way to use it in my regular life. Like the richest person in a really shitty apartment building.
Get a job as Bernie Sanders' speechwriter just to use that pun. Then promptly deliver your resignation in the speech.
Not a lot is known about his childhood. Grew up, got married, had some kids. 5 kids, only 3 of them died. So pretty goddamn good.
Oh, good genes.
Yeah, if you're counting, I believe that brings us up to 10 dead children so far.
Thank you. More to come.
It's true, this is Siberia.
Yeah. So life's going pretty good for old Raz, but one day, he looked around and was like, fuck this shit, I'm bouncing, and left his family to go to a monastery for a while. Mm-hmm. Where he just decided to become like a religious monk. Mm-hmm. The reason for doing this is the reason all people become religious zealots and or Republican presidential nominees. He had a vision, and God told him to.
Sure.
He was trained by a fella named Brother Makari, who I am surprised is not a villain on Game of Thrones.
Sounds like a vodka, also.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
most of these will sound like vodkas.
Yeah, I like that.
Not even laughing, just like, yeah, okay.
Don't you steal that
I
idea.
recognize joke.
He becomes a pretty influential dude, although his manner of speech is described as being completely unintelligible because he had a severe Siberian accent, and he would occasionally drop subjects and verbs when he was talking.
Just
He's-
guttural noises is what was
He was
left.
just like Benicio del Toro in The Usual
Russian has,
Suspects.
no article, so it's just like, what the fuck? He just speaks in adjectives.
Yeah, so...
Pretty.
Despite this, though, when he would deliver sermons, even older religious folk would be drawn in and find his interpretations delightful and extremely original. So I feel like he just talked shitty to fuck with people. And then the rest of the time, like, he had the power clearly to be pretty eloquent. But no, I mean, just a gumbo soup of fucking...
Gumbo soup.
I was gonna say something else, but I said
Very
gum.
regional. It's very
Gumbo
regional.
soup. Gumbo soup.
Maybe he did have like a Cajun thing going on with all
Yeah.
this lack of verbs and stuff.
Is that a Cajun thing also?
Cajuns hate verbs.
Yeah, that's true.
Everybody knows it. Eventually, he goes to St. Petersburg to try and raise money for a church back in Siberia. And while he's there,
That old
he's
scam.
got a bit of a reputation. He meets Milika of Montenegro and her sister, Anastasia. Have you heard of her? Pretty big deal.
Oh, yeah.
Animated movie made about
Knockoff Disney, not Disney, knockoff company.
Oh,
made
yeah,
a
Fox Studios.
kind of poorly sometimes animated movie that very inaccurately depicted Rasputin. And through them, he eventually meets the Tsar Nicholas and his wife Alexandra. Their son has hemophilia, pretty well known. Members of the Russian family had hemophilia. Having a particularly bad outbreak at the time. Doctors unable to help, they turn to Rasputin and his mysticism and occultism. And he does his thing. Next day, the kid gets a lot better. And the Tsars are like, you know what? I kind of like this guy. One less dead child in the story because of him.
To our detriment, but
Yeah.
to the Russian dynasty's benefit.
Well,
We're still
short-lived.
net 9, so...
And slowly he becomes closer and closer to them, to the chagrin of almost everybody else. The doctors hate him because they think he's a charlatan. All the royals hate him because he's getting in close with that royal family. Mm-hmm. He's basically living their squad goals. And...
Yeah, his Romanov game is on fleek.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, it's going...
Mm-hmm. He's like the Karl Rove of...
different vein.
Well, everybody, all the other Imperial royals were just fuckboys compared to Rasputin, so...
Actually, his Russian Secret Service name was Turd Blossom. So.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Which is the only thing to eat in parts of Siberia.
Sure, it's a very positive term in Russian.
Asked to describe Rasputin, Alexandra just gave the 100 emoji. They start spreading all kinds of rumors about him. One of the juiciest ones is someone tries to spread a rumor that he took his dick out in a restaurant, which was later disproven, unfortunately.
Because there was no TMZ at the time.
Right.
To answer this question for us.
They're not very good at starting these rumors, by the way. They're all disproven, like, super easily. It's like Rasputin was, like, clearly in the middle of the public square reciting Shakespeare at the time of all these rumors.
Well, that doesn't discount that a person can whip out his genitals at that time.
I mean, it kind of...
Honestly, it makes Shakespeare a little bit better, I think, if you do see someone's Johnson.
Well, a lot of classical interpretations of Shakespeare do involve whipping out your dick. I believe it was all men, and they had to have their dicks out for a long time in Shakespeare's day, up until relatively recently. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was called As You Like It, I believe, was the name of the policy.
So
in Hamlet, actually, instead of holding up a skull, he just held up a big cock and balls.
Well, he had in
one
hand.
Poor Yorick, I knew him well. Yeah. He bore me on his back 1,000 times.
Stupidest joke ever.
You did do 1%.
No, well, yeah, okay. I think time will bore that one out. Okay. Eventually, the first assassination attempt against his life occurs when a woman peasant...
About as much identity as they had.
Named Kionja Gazerva, I'm gonna guess. Listen, this Russian shit, I don't know.
You might as well just pronounce it while eating a plate of spaghetti. Basically, that's what it sounds like.
Walks up to him one day, stabs him good in the stomach, and Rasputin runs screaming down the street while she chases after him with the knife.
Mm-hmm. With his dick out.
With his dick out, of course, yeah.
Erect.
As is his wand.
Yeah.
I guess he finds a stick and kind of beats her off. Not... violently, not sexually.
Sure.
There's a fine line between pleasure and pain.
Oh, yeah. Have you seen Hellraiser?
Well, that peasant woman, she was actually his former lover, and she had some kind of venereal disease, herpes, I believe. So some would say that she's in her right to almost kill him.
You say it like you are her. It's just in a different time.
Let me unzip my octopus tentacles.
Herpes, I believe. So, herpes,
it's pretty roundly believed that this fairly powerful member of the ruling class was behind that, and he's actually kind of exiled after the fact because the Tsar is not crazy happy about it. Actually, a lot of Rasputin's enemies kind of disappear for a while, but new ones replace them. And after that, apparently he starts drinking. He's apparently never the same again, according to his daughter. But around this time, wars are brewing. Rasputin, actually, a lot of the advice he gives Nicholas is pretty solid.
Yeah.
He says, Nicholas, you should not get involved in this war. Nicholas is like, it'll blow over in 2 months. He's convinced it'll be done by the end of the year. Turns out it was World War I, so it was kind of a big deal. Tons of, it's a catastrophe for
Russia, especially.
For Russia, and the ruling class looks terrible, especially Nicholas. Tons of people die. He tries to take over himself, be on the front lines and be the dude in charge. It does not go well.
No George Washington. No.
Another thing I believe Rasputin told him not to do. But people think that Rasputin is essentially completely controlling Nicholas and Alexandra at this point. And kind of after Nicholas blows it by ruling the army, he sort of is, it seems like. Basically, Alexandra believes whatever he says, and Nicholas just does what Alexandra says.
Very unconventional.
So they just kind of telephone the entire Russian nation. And people getting pretty sick of him at this point. He actually puts in a request to Nicholas to change his name from Rasputin, which he thinks is too common. It translates to New Rasputin.
He tried to go for Rasputin.
Yeah.
It was not.
It took off, so he did not have to start a new brand, Rasputin Zero.
Or Crystal Rasputin.
Crystal Rasputin, of course. And eventually, a lot of the members of the ruling class, in particular this prince, whose name I straight up forget.
It's probably Dmitri.
They kind of managed to get this plan together. The prince invites Rasputin over one night and gets him good and drunk, and then just shoots him point blank in the stomach. Rasputin collapses on the table, wakes up a few minutes later, and starts trying to escape from the house.
Now, this was after he was poisoned with the alcohol and with the cake, too. There was poison in all of that, and he survived that.
Well, you're a good host, you know?
Yeah, although I think a lot of reports of the amount of shit he went through when he died are over-exaggerated. I think the autopsy confirmed there was no cyanide in him, just a bunch of booze.
Well, he was underwater. Well, I didn't want to spoil it, but he was indisposed for 3 days before they found him.
Yeah.
Indisposed? Well, dead is a kind of indisposed.
The official version is that the non-crazy version, I'm honor bound to what I believe is the true history, is he got shot again while trying to flee, and then for good measure, they shot him in the head. And supposedly, according to the autopsy, it's considered that's what did him in. That final shot to the head.
But of course the myth is also part of history, and the myth that he was poisoned and then shot and then poisoned again and then thrown in a river but drowned because he
survived he survived the dick controversy. He survived being called
not like a murder attempt. Yeah. It's character assassination.
The first one, he survived his childhood, which apparently most of his siblings did not. He was called a German spy. That was actually kind of an assassination attempt. They wanted to try and get him executed on that one. They tried to say he was a member of a fringe religious cult because he was good at dancing was part of the reason for that. Right. Because he was good at Dance October Revolution.
Oh God.
Yeah. I was super sleep deprived when I was writing this, by the way. All day, a little hungover, pretty sleep deprived.
It does not show at all.
So they managed to toss Rasputin in the river. His coat kind of created an air bubble, which allowed him to eventually wash ashore and they could find his body. Unfortunately, the death of Rasputin just made everybody realize that he wasn't the problem. It was Tsar Nicholas all along, who was super incompetent. Alexandra used to kind of consider his grave as a holy space in the days leading up to the February Revolution and would constantly pray at it. Eventually, he was disinterred.
That nothing would cut her, otherwise she would lose all of her blood.
Right.
Hemophilia!
Eventually, he was disinterred and burned. That's more or less the story of Rasputin, a guy who became an influential part of... Yeah, a faith healer, influential sort of part of the Russian political family at the time.
Mm-hmm. If I may add on that lover thing, he was a notorious ladies' man. He got married and had kids, but he was like JFK all throughout, just popping babes and embarrassing the royal family.
And he got shot in the head.
Yeah.
I know, which I think that's
and the chest as well. I mean, come on.
Just like JFK.
Just like JFK. Same person?
Yeah. And Lyndon B. Johnson did it both times, so that's super weird.
Zach, that is a gripping account of Rasputin, a man of mystery, a mystic, faith healer. Why don't you put this in your pipe and smoke it? Segways, or whatever.
I mean, segue usually relates to the topic being discussed.
Grigory Rasputin was born in... Is
this officially, are we changing it now? Rasputin?
That's going to be very hard for me. Grigory Rasputin was born to a family of carnies in the Siberian village Pokrovskoye, which translates as land of the eternal carnival.
Huh. Oh,
that's the one happy place in Russia.
And that's why they were chief among the peasants, because there's nothing else to do in Siberia. So all the peasant money went to the family carnival.
Great.
That's what elevated them above their peers. Rasputin, being born into the family business.
They heard a lot about rigging simple games.
Yeah, exactly. The thing they found he was best suited for, natural weight guesser.
Oh,
Wow,
look
yeah.
at that.
He could tell you the weight of anyone, much to their chagrin.
It's a rare skill.
Yeah, rare. Very rare.
Yeah. By the way, his 8 other brothers and sisters died on the El Diablo roller coaster at the
Yes.
carnival.
Which is weird.
I honestly thought you were going to say he guessed the weight of each dead fetus correctly.
You have a very small range, really. Anything under 7 pounds.
Hey, he can go into ounces, I'm sure.
Oh, true. I don't know what system they use. Tales spread far and wide of this weight-guessing kid with a heart of gold from Western Siberia.
So
Say, have you
folksy.
heard about this weight guesser from up north?
And one day, a mysterious stranger appears at his weight-guessing booth. He announces himself as a recruiter from the St. Petersburg Circus. And
Oh, that's the big time.
That's the big time, exactly. Rasputin's finally made it to the main stage.
With his thrilling weight guessing show,
With his incredible ability.
audiences were enraptured
Oh, yeah.
as he would say a number and then the person would stand on a scale and that number would be right.
Well, that's how Rasputin made his enemies in the big city. Turns out, as you said, Rasputin did lack some social graces.
Well, did they try to discredit him by going to his carnival wearing metal boots? So they would...
Well, he did make them take off their shoes before they stepped on his magic scale.
Of course, classic weight guesser protocol.
Of course. They would put stones in their pockets, but he could see through that because of mystic powers that I forgot to mention earlier.
Oh, okay. We just went to the weight guessing and forgot
Right,
that he was
exactly.
actually a
More
magic
important.
person.
Well, everyone's a little bit magic.
Well, if you eat enough funnel cake, you'll hallucinate anything.
That is some magical funnel cake.
Yeah.
Rasputin makes his enemies, but he does catch the eye of the Tsarina, Alexandra. Fan of carnivals and famed hemophiliac. That's why she's stuck to the midway, where nothing bad can befall her.
By the way, excellent tactic for losing a lot of weight, just bleeding out constantly.
That's true.
She loved the thrill of the carnival because they were all doing acts she could never do herself.
Exactly. Her having no body image issues because, again, losing a lot of weight because of the constant bleeding of hemophilia.
Time-honored way to lose weight, bleed.
This is not a dieting advice podcast. Please don't do that. I feel like I had to add that asterisk.
Yeah. Please just bleed out the normal way you're already bleeding.
Oh, God. As you were.
Ebola victims, change it up.
So 2014 and 2013 and parts of 2015.
That is not how you bleed.
Well, all the time in
It's still
Africa.
going on.
The way you bleed is 2000 late.
Alexandra falls for this charming young Siberian lad and his weight-guessing skills and brings him into the royal family. Turns out he's also a faith healer or some shit.
He just got some other powers.
Yeah.
He can fly, invisibility.
He has organic steel skin, much like Pyotr Rasputin, otherwise known as Colossus of the X-Men.
Well, I'm sure he was related, almost certainly.
Well, no. One is a comic book character.
I'm pretty sure this is the alternate history.
But there are people in the royal family who don't care for Rasputin's obnoxious little game. And one of those people is Princess Anastasia and her dog.
And her dog hates having its weight guessed.
Exactly. And Anastasia hates having her weight guessed and being constantly reminded that her dog will die before she does. So,
Is that something he does? He guesses your weight and then says when you're going to die?
well, when your pets will die.
I can see why people wouldn't like that.
Exactly.
It's a little mean-spirited.
You know how, then you got to make your time count.
Exactly.
Hey, the end's coming up. 2 weeks.
So,
Better get back to Fido.
let's go to the park. He couldn't do human deaths, only dog deaths.
Well, it's so easy. You don't have to be that accurate.
Right, exactly.
Dogs don't have calendars.
And you could predict it within 7 years.
Also, a lot of people thought he was just poisoning those dogs.
That's true. He did own a farm in upstate that was just chock full of dead dog puppies.
He
That's
did
what-
bring the dogs upstate, but they were corpses.
Right. They weren't running and playing. And then the farm was destroyed in a in the Tunguska explosion. Princess Anastasia takes to tormenting and bullying Rasputin. She steals his lunch money and calls him names like Crapsputin.
His lunch rubles?
His lunch rubles. Rasputin. And Rastutin.
Oh, that's kind of hurt.
So,
and Rasputin.
Rasputin.
So we should say homophobia Anastasia's, not ours.
Wait, was any of that homophobic?
I would say Rasputin.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like a raspberry pun.
I originally just thought it rhymes with Tootin', but then I realized, there's overtones.
That's the slogan for Rasputin snack treats. The only snack treat that Rasputin endorses. Rasputin. It rhymes with Rastutin. That's not my name.
Oh, that'd make a cool 90s jingle. When you're home from school and you want a nice snack, tell your mom, hey, give me some Rasputin today.
It sounded like Rasputin. Oh, yay.
Almost certainly free of cyanide.
Almost certain. Shoot it in the head.
It'll kill you, Doug.
It's also the slogan for grapes. So, Princess Anastasia's bullying drives Rasputin from St. Petersburg in tears. He's a wreck. He's out there in the Siberian waste. He doesn't know what to do with himself.
Mm-hmm. And all those dead dogs.
And all those dead dogs. No, he knows what to do with them.
Oh, does he?
Upstate, which is not a part of Russia, I feel like. But
everywhere has an
upstate Russia, yeah.
But that's when, in his lowest moments, a wanderer appears. Caligula, friend of the downtrodden, takes pity on Rasputin and hands him a copy of Cleopatra's autobiography, I Gotta Be Me. Rasputin takes great inspiration from these pages, and he resolves to go back to the old family carnival and run its weight-guessing booth like he was meant to do. But Princess Anastasia was not done with Rasputin, even far away in the village in Siberia that I'm not going to pronounce again. Yeah, well, real-life cyberbullying.
Oh my god.
Offline cyberbullying. There's a word for that, I feel like.
Bullying?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I think it's Rasputin. That's sort of the new word for bullying.
Yeah.
Which takes some of the sting out of it. Using her powers of eminent domain, Princess Anastasia comes through the village and decides that the royal family is going to demolish the Rasputin family carnival to build the world's largest potato.
Build a potato. At a brick and mortar.
Sorry, not the world's largest, but just a very large potato.
Okay.
A rather large potato.
Are they just going to Voltron some other potatoes together? Is that the plan?
No, they're just going to build a potato. It's not going to be. It's like fiberglass.
Okay, so it's not an edible potato.
No, that'd be terrible.
It's just a representation
That's
of
too
a
much
potato.
Yes, exactly. So again, Anastasia wins. Rasputin, devastated, turns to the only source of comfort he has left.
Of course. And the eighth wonder of the world is born. The world's largest fiberglass potato.
Second largest, actually. It's beaten out by Dubai.
All right.
He turns to the only comfort he has left. The pages of Cleopatra's autobiography. But when he thumbs through the pages, he notices something that wasn't there before. Something Caligula forgot to take out before he gave to Rasputin. The secrets of immortality. The recipe. Everything you need to be immortal.
The recipe?
Well, originally the recipe was, I don't know if this applies in this time period, because when Cleopatra was alive, the secret was, if someone writes a song about you, you will live forever.
But that was lost to time. I think we decided that.
Okay, great.
This is more just like a recipe.
The
for like
magic
a potion.
went out of the world was my explanation.
Exactly. Rasputin finds this, and he decides, I'm going to be immortal. So
Well,
he puts
as you do.
He puts together
You know
a
what?
potion.
I think immortal.
Yeah,
I've been looking over my options of mortal and immortal. I'm leaning immortal.
Why is that your Rasputin voice? I'm immortal. Yeah,
He turns into a New York Jew as he's saying it.
Bowery Rasputin.
Well, he's immortal, and everybody knows that's an excellent Rasputin impression because we all can hear him today.
There's something wrong with the formula, though.
And it turns him super mortal.
Super mortal.
Turns him into a dog.
Yes, it turns him into Benjamin Button or Jack. I don't know whichever one of those fits better. He leaves out one of the ingredients because he can't read Caligula's handwriting. He still gains immortality, but he is slowly being driven mad. That's when he's like assassinated and set upon. What?
Clarification. Caligula, up to this point, was not immortal.
No, he's merely a time traveler.
Right.
But he's working on the secret of immortality.
Okay.
But he loses it to Rasputin.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
You say merely like it's unimpressive.
Merely
That's
a time.
pretty
Well, it's
cool
not as
thing.
impressive as being immortal.
Anybody can be a time traveler. You just gotta fucking find a time machine.
Yeah, you just gotta...
Done. Mission accomplished.
Split the fabric that separates... that holds the universe together.
You don't have to do that. Somebody else does it, and then you take the machine.
That's true.
Marty
But
McFly
really,
was not that impressive.
really
He just
have to
happens
bomb
to
someone on the
have
head
access.
with a coconut and take the time machine. Much like Gilligan did in the Lost episode.
Right.
But Rasputin's slowly being driven mad. But he is set upon by assassins who are like, let's get rid of Rasputin. And so he's...
Just for no reason.
Yeah, he's poisoned, shot, thrown in a river, but he's immortal. So that's how his myth grows, that he is unkillable. But as time goes on, he gets more and more insular, he grows more and more insane, and finally his personality matrix shatters, and he splits into two entities. One, Vladimir Putin, because it sounds kind of like Rasputin, and the other, Chupacabra, Scourge of Mexico,
Okay.
who is then promptly run over on a Eurasian highway. And that's the story of Rasputin, currently Vladimir Putin.
And the Chupacabra's dead.
Yes, Chupacabra got run over.
Okay. I kind of wanted to hear the story of how he got, as a Chupacabra, from St. Petersburg to Mexico.
He flew.
Did he go with, like, Trotsky? Did he stow away with Trotsky?
Yeah. Yeah, probably.
He took a shot. Trotsky took a shine to the Chupacabra, brought him with him over to Mexico when he was fleeing Stalin.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that was back in the day when you could take more than one carry-on.
Right.
Yeah, and obviously it was easier when he wasn't called Chupacabra in Russia. He changed it after.
Right, exactly.
It was Chupacabrakovich in Russia.
Right.
Ellis Island. When they got to Ellis, yeah. Just
To
Chupacabra.
hide the Chupacabra's Jewish heritage. So there you have it. The two stories of Rasputin.
Well, I gotta say, in his current incarnation, he's got a hell of a chest. As Vladimir Putin, he got the better end of the deal. With the Chupacabra, that's just a hairy little series of nipples, but Vladimir Putin...
I mean, it has a head. It's more than that.
No, I don't think... No, not what I'm picturing.
Hairy series of... What have you heard of the Chupacabra?
It's just one giant nipple, you know?
I mean...
That's how it lures in
comes
its
to our
prey.
town, takes all of our goats. I believe Chupacabra is Mexican for nipple. Spanish, I should say.
I think it's actually it's Mexican for goat sucker, which
Well, you have your interpretation.
Michael, would you care to deliver a verdict?
Absolutely. These are both very well argued stories. In my 7 years in law school and 4 years of medical school, I have to say...
Is this a weird Van Wilder situation? What's going on?
I have no degree. I just show up.
Do you pay?
We don't talk about that more or
mostly.
less.
He squats in various universities.
It's weird what you can get away
that's
with.
why you're the basis for the movie Michael Karlik College Squatter.
Ellen
tries to-
Page.
It's a watercolor cover of just you squatting in a classroom covered in bras.
So many scenes of him at night passing by complex math equations on the board and then beginning to write something, and the next day the professors show up and there's just dicks all over.
My God, he's right. The unsolvable equation.
Yes, I did pour a lot of money into a worthless degree. Yes. Brilliant.
No, best picture winner.
Gotcha. Please plug that at the end. But also, these are two very great stories, gentlemen. I was very impressed. I have to say, though, that Rasputin, as a carny turned nipple, turned dictator, was very compelling to me. I tend to think that's what actually happened.
All right. Well, we are going to open this to an audience vote.
No.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely not. That's not the Russian way.
That is true. That is not the Russian way, even today, because of Rasputin. Oh,
Actually, I will allow it.
okay. Wait. Okay. So yes, audience, you have a week from the release of this podcast to vote. You could do that on Facebook. You can do that by going to our website, revisionistpodcast.com, and using the contact form. Or you could do it like many other people have done it and come up to me and just say your vote. So, because most of you probably know one of us. Baby steps.
Yeah.
Baby steps. That's what they teach us in Web Academy.
Web Academy? Mm-hmm. Okay, I don't know what that means.
Charlotte's Web Academy.
Charlotte's Web Academy.
She had a lot of valuable lessons.
About growing a podcast. What did she call?
I don't know. She would like believe in yourself in her web or some shit, and then she died.
Yeah, it's something like
She's
that.
like, look, even though I'm going to die before you.
Some pig.
Some pig.
Some
That's
pig.
right.
That's right.
Some
Which is
pig.
actually a slam.
Yeah.
Who's that?
Pig.
Some fucking pig. She was talking about a cop. Who killed you? Who killed you, Charlotte? Some pig.
Michael Karlik, you're in Denver for a bit longer before you have to go back to the Big Apple.
Yes, the Windy City.
The
Correct.
Windy City.
Yes, Satchmo, yes.
Old Riverboat Blues City.
Yeah.
Old
Brotherly
Old
love.
Al-Qaeda,
land
yeah.
of the rising sun.
Home of the Axeman of New Orleans, New York City.
The San Francisco treat.
New The Rock York.
Florida, New York City.
Ah, the Russian capital, New York City.
Precinct 13, New York City.
Are we done?
I think so. But before you go, you have show coming up this Monday at the Monkey Bar in Denver.
Yes.
Correct. And people can find you on Twitter at Michael Karlik.
Yes, I'm a lot funnier on there.
Michael Karlik, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I've got to go back to study for law school.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, it's amazing what you can get away with if you bring brownies to every class. No questions asked whatsoever.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, that might match the cost.
Do you, when you walk into law school with the brownies, always say, how about brownie versus the Board of Education? Every single day?
I've had so many offers for partner just based off of that.
Zach, thank you as always.
Yep,
For being
absolutely.
here.
Mm-hmm.
For everyone here at The Revisionists, I'm Brian Flynn.
I am Zach Powers.
I'm Michael Karlik.
We'll see you next time.